virtually entire, fashion industry complicit in Uyghur forced labor, say rights groups. Human Rights Coalition says cotton produced in camps in Xinjiang region finds its way into 1 in 5 cotton products worldwide.
Here's a summary of the article.
Many of the world's biggest fashion brands and retailers are complicit in the forced labor and human rights violations being perpetrated on millions of Uyghur people in the Xinjiang region of northwestern China, says a coalition of more than 180 human rights groups. Despite these abuses, the coalition of human rights groups says many of the world's leading clothing brands continue to source cotton and yarn produced through a vast state-sponsored system of forced labor involving up to 1.8 meters Uyghur and other Turkic and Muslim people in prison camps, factories and farms in Xinjiang. Global fashion brands source so extensively from Xinjiang that the coalition estimates it is virtually certain that as many as 1 in 5 cotton products sold across the world are tainted with forced labor and human rights violations occurring there. Virtually the entire global apparels industry is tainted by forced Uyghur and Turkic Muslim labor, the coalition said in a statement issued today. The coalition says many more leading clothing brands also continue to maintain lucrative strategic partnerships with Chinese companies, accepting subsidies from their government to expand textile production in the region or benefiting from the forced labor of Uyghur people transferred from Xinjiang to factories across China. In a call to action, the coalition, which includes more than 70 Uyghur rights groups, anti-slavery organizations and labor rights campaigners, says the global apparel industry must eradicate all products and materials linked to forced labor in Xinjiang within a year. Forced laborers in the Uyghur region face vicious retaliation if they tell the truth about their circumstances. This makes due diligence through labor inspections impossible and virtually guarantees that any brand sourcing from the Uyghur region is using forced labor, said Scott Nova, executive director at the WRC. An apparel brand that claims to know, with confidence, that all the farms and factories it uses in the region are free of forced labor is either deeply cynical or misinformed.
This post received a score of 21,000, with an upvote ratio of 95%. Here are the top comments in response to this article.
1800, slaves picking cotton. 2020, slaves picking cotton. 1800, people thinking governments care about human rights rather than them just using the issue for propaganda purposes. 2020, people thinking governments care about human rights rather than them just using the issue for propaganda purposes.
You know, the actual source of this article is ASPI, the Australian Strategic Policy Institute. You know who sponsors ASPI? Lockheed Martin, BAE Systems, Northrop Grumman, Thales Group, and Raytheon Technologies. Looks like the military-industrial complex is firing up for conflict to fill their coffers again.
And it's a short list lol. I thought there'd be dozens of sponsors and some would happen to be arms producers. Nope. All war machine.
Focus on the naughty fashion industry during the upcoming recession. Do not worry about your friendly neighborhood war machine. When austerity measures take effect, save money by not buying new clothes. Ignore your government buying lots of shiny missiles.
Duh. Like clothing, feeding, educating, curing and housing the people of world would make everything actually better.
I worked as a lawyer in Vietnam for a firm that worked with foreign investors. I worked on a due diligence of a company involved with garment manufacturing. One of the target company's contracts was with a well-known U.S. label that explicitly had a section on no Xinjiang cotton or any involvement. Covering their ass, maybe, but it was heartening to see. This was from at least 18 months ago.
At least some backlash is getting through.
Finally, a rock-solid excuse to stop wearing clothes.
But then everyone sees you rock solid.
I don't see how that is bad if you boycott slavery this way.
Honestly, the sterilization of language here is shocking. Call them what they are, slaves. Forced labor sounds legitimate compared to slave.
Also calling it a campus. Leave off the us at the end. It's a prison camp, not fucking Yale.
Did you misread the title? It does say camps. Mentions camps, but no mention of campus in the article.
I did. I was stoned lol.
Haha, I can respect that. Gotta love the 260 upvotes for misreading something. This is Reddit. Obviously none of us read posted articles.
Does anyone know where I can find the list of all the companies proven to use this cotton? I don't want to buy from them.
According to this report, brands include.
So basically every major one.
Turns out China is the world's factory. WHO knew.
Isn't it strange that the workers' revolution led to the creation of a giant slave labor state? Weird.
This video was automatically created by Reddit to speech. The article and comments in this video were selected from Reddit according to their upvotes, and any paraphrasing was performed by smmry.com, without any human intervention.